isn't about us anymore. It's about what kind of society and what kind of state will we leave for our kids, and will we leave for young people. There's more of us than there are of them. But each progressive group can't work in isolation of other progressive groups. The labor movement, can't work in isolation of the social justice movement. The labor movement can't work in isolation of the civil rights movement. The labor movement can't work in isolation of the women's movement. The labor movement can't work in isolation of any progressive movement in this country or anywhere else. And what did we do? We let them get away with it. Instead of going out on the offensive, fools like me went around and said, no, I don't beat my mother. No, I wouldn't let you throw my grandmother off health care. No, that's not true. Instead of going out and talking about what was real and what was not real. And you know what? I'll get to the same place now on jobs. I'll get to the same place on jobs. We don't have a deficit crisis in America. We have a jobs crisis in America. That's the crisis we got. During the reign of the Bush gang, we lost 50,000 factories. 50,000 factories. During the reign of the Bush gang, we went from a budget surplus to the largest deficit in the history of mankind. If those 40,000 or 50,000 factories were running today, they'd employ 5 million more industrial workers. Those industrial workers would be paying taxes. They'd be putting money away for their kids to go to college. And those factories would be paying municipal taxes. Those taxes could be used in Camden, New Jersey to pay firemen and policemen rather than kick them out in the street and let their houses burn. That came the ultimate collapse, where over $7 trillion in pension money was wiped out by the Wall Street corruption. And what comes of that? Blame the workers, because their gold-plated pensions couldn't be funded. I don't know a teacher that's going to retire on a gold-plated pension. I don't know a sanitation worker that's going to retire on a gold-plated pension. I don't know a steel worker that's going to retire on a gold-plated pension. I know some of them might retire on a small pension that helps them get through life after they've worked for 30 or 40 or even sometimes 50 years. And you know what? We ought to be mad as hell about that, because that money has been physically stolen from us by Wall Street corruption. These deficits didn't happen by accident. Again, if you haven't done it, go do it. Go over the period of time since FDR and check every president and see who created the deficit. See who created a surplus. See who created jobs and who cost us jobs. And then remember this. Use the facts. But intellect doesn't top emotion when it comes to an election. We run around regurgitating our facts and think because we're right, and we're accurate, and we're factual, that people will catch on. I'm not talking about being dishonest or unfactual. I'm talking about taking those facts and translating it into emotion, because based on the facts of the Republican agenda, that kid's got no future. My kid has no future. And I don't intend to let my kid be subservient to some multinational company who's puts us in the ass. We need to make sure that we develop an agenda that goes to the heart of giving our kids a better shot at life, and that we nurture and develop leaders, and that each of us puts our own individual and institutional ego aside and give these leaders a chance to lead us in a thoughtful, progressive way, so that when all of us are sitting in our rocking chairs, whether it's 5 years from now 50 years from now, we can say that while we were there, we did what had to be done so these kids could have the same shot in life as we had. I don't want the life of my union, the Steelworkers Union, to be for naught. I don't want it at some point in time for the kids of our steelworker members to not have the shot in life that we had. That's our obligation. And we won't get there sitting on our ass, and we won't get there writing letters. We'll get there when we understand we have an agenda worth fighting for, and if we have to take to the streets and do the things that have to be done, like Martin